50 plus free real estate practice exam questions 2022. This free practice exam is here to help you master the national portion of the real estate exam. Our real estate practice exam pulls from a large pool of questions, so you can expect a different study experience each time you take it. Don't forget to read the explanations so you fully understand the question. At the very end of each exam, there is a recap of the questions you got right or wrong, which is also very helpful to look at. Answer D. When a property is owned by joint tenants, the interest of a deceased owner automatically gets transferred to the remaining surviving owners. For example, if 3 joint tenants owned a house and one of them dies, the 2 remaining tenants each obtain a 1/2 share of the property. This is called the right of survivorship. Question 27. What is Fannie Mae's primary responsibility? A. To create FHA and VA loans. B. To guarantee the security of loans. C. To maintain an active secondary market for mortgage. D. To manage and liquidate previously acquired mortgage. Answer C. Fannie Mae's primary responsibility is to maintain an active secondary market for mortgage. Ginnie Mae is a government agency that guarantees securities backed by loans issued under other government agency programs, such as the VA and FHA. Fannie Mae is a private corporation that buys loans from private lenders, assembles them into mortgage-backed securities to maintain an active secondary market. Question 28. Which of the following 2 real estate contract clauses protect the lenders in some way, usually by asking for some form of payment, insurance? A. Alienation and release clause. B. Acceleration clause and release clause. C. Release clause and repayment penalty clause. D. Acceleration clause and prepayment penalty clause. Answer D. The keywords here are lender and payment. Some of these provisions protect the borrower, lender, or both. The acceleration clause and prepayment penalty clause is the best answer here. The acceleration clause is a contract provision that requires a borrower to repay all of an outstanding loan if upon a breach of the contract, which definitely protects the lenders and their interests by asking for repayment. A prepayment penalty clause states that a lender can penalize a borrower if the borrower pays off the mortgage much sooner than usual. This definitely protects the lenders, their interests, and results in repayment as well. Within the other answers, the clauses may or may not protect lenders or do not require some form of payment or insurance. Question 29. Real property can be converted to personal property by A. Inference, B. Severance, C. Accession, D. Changement. Answer C. Severance is the opposite of attachment. Severance is taking an item that is attached to the land and removing it as personal property. Question 30. As a general rule of thumb, ALL written offers must be A. Sent to local government authority. B. Presented to the broker's office. C. Presented to the seller. D. Presented to the buyer. Answer C. As a general rule of thumb, all written offers must be presented to the seller. It is a serious breach of a real estate agent's fiduciary duty to the seller not to present all purchase offers. Question 31. Which of the following is an example of real property? A. A 4K HD TV. B. A couch. C. A wheelchair. D. A garage. Answer D. Personal property is all things removable like clothes, lawn movers, couches, TVs, and furniture. Real property is all things attached to the land and all the legal rights to it. Real property is usually things that are immovable, such as the home itself or the buildings within the property line. There are some exceptions of items that can be moved but are still real property, like for businesses. In this case, the only item that would qualify as real property is garage. Question 82. Which of the following might suggest that rent is too low in an apartment unit? A. The building is poorly maintained. B. There are many for lease signs in the area. C. There is a high occupancy rate. D. There is a high vacancy leave. Answer C. Technically speaking, if there is a high occupancy rate higher than usual, rent may be too low. The theory of supply and demand support this. Property managers need to be aware of this, as one of their responsibilities is to make sure the rental property is at max profitability. Question 33. The fact that land has a number of important uses is the basis for what essential element of value? A. Demand. B. Utility. C. Scarcity. D. Transferability. Answer B. Remember, dust and your essential elements of value. Demand. This means the desire to buy and an ability to pay. Utility. The item satisfies a human need or desire, such as shelter, income, or recreation. Scarcity. Limited in supply, as supply diminishes, value increases. Transferability, able to transfer from one owner to another. Question 34. It is the duty to explain the purchase agreement and to not mislead any parties. A. Buyers. B. Sellers. C. Agents. D. Mortgage brokers. Answer C. It's important the buyer and seller clearly understand the document, as it becomes legally binding as soon as both parties sign. It is an agent's duty to explain the to-purchase agreement and not mislead both or either parties. Question 35. Which of the following situations would be a percentage lease be most commonly used in? A. Apartments. B. Townhouses. C. Shopping centers. D. Government-owned properties. Answer C. Percentage lease which pertains to commercial real estate. A percentage lease is a rental that is based on a percentage of the monthly or annual gross sales made on the premises. Percentage leases are common with large retail stores, especially in shopping centers. Question 36. The person who hires or appoints an agent is called the A. Deputy. B. Principal. C. Fiduciary. D. Customer. Answer B. The person who hires or appoints an agent is called the principal. In plain terms, the principals in a real estate sales transaction would be the buyer and the seller. Question 37. If a contract has prepayment penalties, they can be found in which real estate contract clause? A. In the Habendum clause. B. In the deficiency clause. C. In the prepayment penalty clause. D. In the penalty and insurance clause. Answer C. A prepayment penalty clause states that a lender can penalize a borrower if the borrower pays off the mortgage much sooner than usual. Lenders are required to disclose prepayment penalties at closing in the form of a prepayment penalty clause. Question 38. A parcel of real property that has an easement over another piece of property is best described as A. A servient estate. B. A dominant estate. C. An estate in sufferance. D. An estate in tenement. Answer B. By definition, a dominant estate is a parcel of real property that has an easement over another piece of property. Question 39. The increase of value with the passage of time is best described as A. Depreciation. B. Appreciation. C. Return of investment. D. Return on investment. Answer C. Appreciation, in general terms, is an increase in the value of an asset over time. The increase can occur for a number of reasons, including increased demand or weakening supply, or as a result of changes in inflation or interest rates. Question 40. Choose the best answer. A lawsuit for inverse condemnation may be brought by A. The city or town within the property lies in. B. The state within the property lies in. C. The local zoning board. D. A homeowner. Answer D. A property owner or homeowner can sue to obtain the required just compensation through the process of inverse condemnation. Inverse condemnation is the event in which the government takes private property but fails to pay compensation or just compensation. Question 41. Your client signs a contract to buy a house and the seller refuses to sell the house at the very last minute. Your client still wants the house. What should your client do? A. Sue for deletions. B. Sue for rescission. C. Sue for monetary damages. D. Sue for specific performance. Answer D. A lawsuit for specific performance would rent your client the house. Specific performance asks the court to force the opposing party into a contract that binds them to actually perform the contract at issue, rather than award damages for breach of contract. Question 52. What is the one-of-a-kind contract that is solely between the seller and the buyer? In this arrangement, the seller gives the buyer the option to purchase property at a given price for a set period. A. An executed contract. B. An express contract. C. An implied contract. D. An option contract. Answer D. A real estate option contract is a one-of-a-kind contract that is solely between the seller and the buyer. In this arrangement, the seller gives the buyer the option to purchase property at a given price for a set period. Question 43. While the economy is experiencing inflation, interest rates typically A. Drop and housing prices rise. B. Rise and housing prices drop. C. Rise and housing prices rise. D. None of the above. Answer C. Housing prices tend to rise with inflation. While the economy is experiencing inflation, interest rates typically rise and housing prices rise. There is a correlation between inflation and house prices. In fact, there are correlations between inflation and any good with a limited supply. When interest rates are low, buying homes can be more affordable and increase the demand for homes. If the supply of homes remains constant and the demand increases, then the prices of homes will increase. Question 44. In common law, a deed is any legal instrument in writing which passes, affirms, or confirms an interest, right, or property and that is signed, arrested, delivered, and in some jurisdictions sealed. It is commonly associated with transferring title to property. Within deeds, covenants are A. Types of property. B. Forms of money or payment. C. Agreements or promises. D. Property listings or values. Answer C. Covenants are agreement or promises within deeds. For example, a warranty deed can include 6 forms of covenants. Those 6 are a series of legally binding promises and guarantees to the grantee agreeing to protect the grantee against any prior claims and demands of all persons whomsoever in regards to the conveyed land. Question 45. An elderly man in a nursing home has no family and is suffering from Alzheimer's. Because of his Alzheimer's, he doesn't remember much. Eventually, he passes away in his sleep. There is no will for the man, and again he has no family. So what happens to the money left in his savings account and his old farm that has been left untouched since he entered the nursing home? A. Escheat. B. Eminent domain. C. Adverse possession. D. Inverse condemnation. Answer A. Instead of being handed down to his family, since he has none, his assets, farm included, are going to go to the government in the process called escheat. Escheat is the government's right to take ownership of unclaimed real estate or assets. Question 46. What is the general technique of determining three-dimensional positions of points and the distances and angles between them? A. Surveying. B. Subdivision surveying. C. Sub and plot surveying. D. Sewer lateral inspecting. Answer A. Surveying is the general technique of determining three-dimensional positions of points and the distances and angles between them. The point of a survey is to accurately measure land in a legal fair manner. While subdivision surveying is definitely a form of surveying, this question is asking for the general form, which is just surveying. Question 47. In the appraisal of a building constructed in the 1980s, the cost approach would be the least accurate method because of difficulties in A. Estimating depreciation. B. Estimating changes in prices of building materials. C. Estimating changes in the cost of construction. D. Estimating depreciation, estimating changes in the cost of construction, and estimating changes in prices of building materials. Answer C. The cost approach is considered to be reliable when used on newer buildings and not as reliable with older. The cost approach becomes nearly ineffective after 25 years or so because of the difficulty in estimating depreciation, estimating changes in the cost of construction, and estimating changes in prices of building materials. Question 48. The owner of a secluded area adjacent to the ocean noticed that people from the local town walk along the shore in front of his property. The owner learned that the local citizens had been walking along this beach for half a century. The owner went to court to try to stop people from walking along the water's edge in front of his property. The owner is likely to be A. Unsuccessful because the owner's property extends only to the high water mark and the public can use the land beyond this point. B. Unsuccessful because the locals have been doing this for over 5 years. Statute of frauds. C. Successful because the locals have been doing this for less than 100 years. Statute of frauds. D. Successful because the owner's property extends 100 feet into the ocean per his riparian rights. Answer A. A landowner of land which borders a navigable waterway owns the property up to the high water mark at the water's edge. The government owns the water and land beneath it, and the public has an easement right to travel on the water. The owner would be unsuccessful because the owner's property extends only to the high water mark. Question 49. Economic life is the length of time during which a piece of property may be put to profitable use. Economic life is usually A. Neither shorter or longer than physical life. B. Shorter than physical life. C. The same as physical life. D. Longer than physical life. Answer B. When an asset is no longer useful to its owner, then it is said to be past its economic life. The economic life of an asset could be different than its actual physical life. Economic life usually is shorter than physical life, as a structure generally will still physically exist but not be viable in the marketplace. Question 50. Complete the following statement. The rescission of a contract occurs when A. A contract is signed. B. A contract is classified as unenforceable and is terminated. C. One party wants to waive all the remaining duties and wants to terminate the contract. D. There is an agreement between the contracting parties to waive all the remaining duties and to terminate the contract. Answer D. The rescission of a contract occurs when there is an agreement between the contracting parties to waive all the remaining duties and to terminate the contract. Basically, it would be returning the parties to the same legal position they were in before entering into the contract.
Real Estate Practice in Georgia 2017.